Here in Appleton, like in the rest of the country, education faces a growing achievement gap for students of color. Faced with an increasingly diverse population, schools have to adjust to the different needs of increasingly diverse students.
Overall, our district is a little bit over 25% students of color. About 11% of those students are Hmong or Asian. About 8% of those students are Hispanic. 5 to 6% of those students are African American, and about 1% of our students are Native.
There's a disconnect, I believe, that exists. And it happens in more than just communities like Appleton, but I know it's here in Appleton. Well, I think in Wisconsin, period, I think it just goes back to the culture. If you want to talk about students of color, in particular African American students, it's that whole mystique or image of how important is education. I mean, we have to break the cycle for our own children first and foremost to get them to understand how important education is. I think a lot of that starts with our parents, but I also understand too that there's a teacher gap, meaning things are changing a lot now. So that old adage of if you can't reach them, you can't teach them, it still exists.
Teachers and staff in the Appleton area schools play a key role in closing the achievement gap, but the growing racial and ethnic diversity within the district calls for a more diverse representation of teachers and staff.
Our teachers, generally speaking, come from white middle class background. So when we have a much more diverse student body in front of us, then it behooves every one of our teachers to have knowledge as best they can of all those different cultures so that they can be mindful of what will work with each one of those individual students.
We have some people of color in the staff now. We have many interpreters for the Hmong languages. We have many interpreters for Spanish. We have people like myself that they're cultural support for the 4 major cultures, the Hispanic, Hmong, Native Americans, and for African Americans. So there's 4 of us that work together. One of the issues that we encounter is people have said, well, how come we don't have anybody for Caucasian students? And it's hard to say, well, you know, we're really not privileged. That's why we're here to support them. And our population's growing. The need is getting bigger.
We need more, in my opinion, more younger teachers, minority teachers to come in and say, I've been through some of the things you're going through, so I can relate. I'm not telling you I have all the answers, but I can relate. Because a lot of the kids that move to Appleton, they could go their entire academic career and not see a minority male teacher or a minority female teacher. And if they do see them, are they really getting an interaction of a relationship?
We've been making a concerted effort to get down to more urban settings to look for teachers. And some places where we've gone to Chicago, Minneapolis, Madison, and just trying to recruit teachers who are more diverse in nature because we want our teachers to better mirror the students that they're in front of in our district.
In addition to the lack of multicultural diversity among teachers and staff members, the district also faces challenges meeting the individual needs of racially and ethnically diverse students.
The challenges that are there for educators today is that many of our students, regardless of ethnicity, race, gender, they're dealing with challenges in the areas of basic needs.
For a lot of these kids, education isn't a priority. Getting food in the refrigerator is a priority. Knowing where I'm going to sleep tonight is a priority.
We think in the Appleton area school district, we have 40+% of our students who come to us from poverty. And so we need to be mindful of that, but yet not let that provide us with an excuse not to challenge them at the highest level, but to provide the supports necessary so that they can do the work and progress along at a pace where they're going to be able to graduate with high skill level and then move on past high school and be successful.
Everybody has a different learning style. We have to reach and we have to know the student as an individual. As hard as it is, that is the best way how to reach the achievement gap, is trying to work one-on-one with the kids.
When discussing the difficulties of meeting the individual needs of multicultural students, the district has indicated communication between schools and parents and the role of parental involvement as key areas for improvement.
I think sometimes we indirectly put a little bit too much responsibility on certain teachers and sometimes at academic institutions to push our kids to the next level. I think a lot of that starts with our parents. I think the biggest struggle is that a lot of the parents have had maybe some negative experience with academics, negative school experience, negative experiences with administrators.
Parents get very disappointed with some of the kids, embarrassed when they are called in at school and say, oh, your child did this, or your child did that, because that is the part that mom is responsible for at home. It hurts the parents because that is what they have taught. So they feel like they're failing. When there's a point of time later on that the child keeps doing it, sometimes parent doesn't even want to show up because they're like, I don't know what to do with them anymore.
We as a district, we have to continue to understand that we have to partner with the parents and partner with that student and get them the supports that they need to be successful. We can't do it alone. This is something where we're reaching out to all of our different communities and asking for their support as well. And so how can we engage our students, parents in the process? And that looks different depending upon the culture, depending upon the individual family. It might be something different that engages that family, but we know that students do better if the families and the schools are working together.
This is not a Caucasian population anymore. It's a blend, it's a mixture. And then we need to really embrace that and see the change. So open the community up a little bit more to these changes and to these opportunities to learn and to educate and to practice and to celebrate.
So I think Appleton is very proactive in its essence of trying to figure out what's going on. But like we talked about, there's still a lot of minority students here not graduating. So that goes back to, we need to get more teachers involved and maybe get some groups more focused in resolving the issues. I mean, let's just not talk about it. Let's be about it.